Today we are going to talk about a trip that we took a couple years ago, but was so special to us. It was for our 5-year anniversary, and we got to do a ton of stuff in one trip. It was 18 days long, and I think we got to do 29 stops along the way, which was quite an achievement. So we started off from our own city to Boston, and we'd never been to Boston to do an international trip before. We tried to find the international terminal, and they kept on saying, keep going, keep going, keep going. We went out the main exit, through the parking lot, and apparently got to the international terminal at some point.
It was quite the trek, but we made it.
So this is our hilariously poor attempt to show you how we did this trip. So we first flew to Rome, then we took a train to Venice, and later on back to Rome. Then we got on a cruise ship and went from Rome to Egypt, from Egypt to Israel, from Israel to Ephesus, from Ephesus to Athens and Corinth, and then back to Naples, where we did Pompeii and the Amalfi Coast, and then back to Rome. And then we flew to Paris, had a layover, and then went back to the United States. So our train got in at 5:30 in the morning, which was a super cool tip that we didn't even know that we would get to do, is see Venice wake up.
Yes, and somebody remind me to make fun of myself later for saying this, but seeing the city wake up from before sunrise until like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock when it was hustle and bustle was actually really cool. One of the coolest things we did. We went in to a little coffee shop and got some drinks and the croissants, and then just started walking around Venice, and there was literally nobody out. It was completely dark, and those first 4 hours we were there from about 5:30 till 9:30 were just awesome. So definitely, if you're going to go to Venice to experience Venice, highly recommend getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and going out and walking, which we would normally not do on vacation, so it's worth it.
So that brings us to our first reason that we loved this trip was Italian food. We pretty much went pizza, pasta, gelato, and then repeated that, and it was delicious. And don't be like John and get strawberry gelato. You gotta stick with the chocolate.
It was definitely not a good call. So we ended up spending about 8 total hours in Venice, and then we were able to jump on a train and get back to Rome. So we stayed at a little apartment that we stayed at for several days, and we had a couple days before we needed to head to the port to get on our ship to just explore Rome, which was awesome.
And Rome is probably our most favorite city in the world. There's so much to do. It's easy to walk around. It's pretty safe. Tons of historical sites, beautiful scenery and architecture and culture. Definitely recommend it.
So our second favorite thing about the way that we did this trip was doing it via a cruise. Like we talked about, we were go, go, go all the time when we were in these different cities, and the ability to travel to 3 different continents and do several different stops and be able to enjoy the excursions and enjoy everything that we were doing, having those couple days built in of transportation on the cruise ship ended up being very relaxing and allow us to kind of recover and enjoy the next stop. Sleeping on an overnight train on the way to Venice was an experience for sure. Not nearly as much fun as having your own room on a cruise ship where you can sleep good, have good food, and really be rested on the days at sea. So cruising was definitely our favorite way to see all of these places all in one trip. And we also were able to use Cruise Critic, which is something that Ashley did, to lump together some tours so we could kind of customize and get exactly the tours we wanted for free or very inexpensive.
So we went on, and our first stop was an overnight in Egypt, which was pretty much the main reason that we had booked this trip. We really wanted to see all of the historical sites. It was absolutely amazing. We booked through Egypt Tailor Made with Walid Fathi. It was probably the best tour we have ever done. He was incredible with his love for his country. We absolutely recommend it. If you were going to Egypt, we would say don't go unless you go with his tour. It was that amazing.
Yeah, he did an awesome job. We really enjoyed it. We got to spend the night in an awesome hotel in Cairo. It's a pretty long haul from Alexandria to get into Cairo, but we went ahead and stayed the night there, so we got to see more total stuff, and it was really fantastic. Definitely go with him.
Israel was amazing as well. We spent 2 days there, and we did Jerusalem and Bethlehem the first day, and then went to the Sea of Galilee and up to the north around Nazareth the second day.
So our third stop was in the country of Turkey. We went to the port of Kusadasi, which allowed us to go and see the historical city, the biblical city of Ephesus, which was very cool for us to get to see where Paul had gone and be able to kind of make some of that history come alive a little bit. We really enjoyed seeing Ephesus, and then we got to go around and do, go look at some of the carpets. Ashley got to help weave a carpet. We got to have a traditional Turkish meal, which was good. So Turkey was a fun stop.
So the day in Greece, we went to Corinth in the morning and then Athens in the afternoon. And I think our big tip with this is Greece has very strict tourism laws on hiring a driver and then also hiring a separate certified guide. And the mistake that we had made, which wasn't a huge deal, but we'll know for next time, was we hired an escort, which was not the same as a guide. So he gave us tons of good information, but he was not able to go into the sites with us.
So then our last stop from the cruise was a day where we went to the port of Naples, and so we got to go on our tour and see Pompeii and then go tour the Amalfi Coast, which is our number 4 favorite things about this trip. The tour that we went with was
Visit Pompeii. With
Giuseppe. And he was fantastic. We went, he really knew his history. He had worked on the actual excavation side on Pompeii, really knew his way around the city of Pompeii. And if you're there, you got to go see Pompeii. Half a day was good for us. It was really hot the day we were there. There's not much shade. So it was fun, and obviously you definitely need to go see it, but also while you're there, you got to go see the Amalfi Coast. We felt like it was good to just spend one day there. We felt like we got to see things, and one of my favorite parts of the entire trip was the meal we had on the Amalfi Coast, overlooking the ocean, overlooking all the scenery. We had a huge, 7-course meal, and I ate every one.
So our last reason that we absolutely loved this trip, the 5th reason, is we got to take a side trip to Paris just because we had a 24-hour layover. So we really weren't thinking that we would get to do Egypt and Paris in one trip. But this was just a nice little bonus. We had 24 hours. It was colder than we had thought in October. I had a nice little sundress, and it was 45 degrees and rainy. So that was something that we will know for next time.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Our bags were checked all the way through because it was a continuous flight, and normally when we're looking at flights, we don't love to have 24-hour layovers. When we were looking at booking, and I first saw the total trip time, I was like, oh my goodness, that's not going to work. And then we saw, hey, Paris, all right, let's do it. So this was coming off of this was our 17th day of traveling. So we literally jumped off the plane and just went out the exit of the airport into Paris. And so we went, got lost in the subway for a little bit. We ate some good food while we were there, went and did a river cruise, went up the Eiffel Tower, got to see a bunch of the really cool sights in Paris. It was a fun, just little addition, although exhausting a little bit, to just kind of run around the city most of the night before we headed back to the airport to catch our flight home.
All in all, this was an incredible trip. It was a great way to get to see so many things at once. A couple years ago, we didn't know how much we would be able to travel the last couple years, so we thought this might be our only trip to Europe for a while, so we wanted to pack in as much as we could, and we did, but the cruise was a great way to do as much as possible and not just be completely worn out the rest of the day.
Yeah, and we've got quite a few more tips we don't have time for on the video today, but if you're going to be going to any of these places we mentioned today, please send us an email or connect with us on social media, and Ashley can help get you connected with a lot more of the information about the tour specifically, certain things to see, certain things to eat, and we've got a lot more information if you guys are interested.